Good afternoon and welcome to the official press conference following the ECOFIN Council. On stage we have the Danish Minister for Economic Affairs, Stephanie Lose, and the Commissioner for Economy and Productivity, Valdis Dombrovskis. As always, we will start by brief statements from the Minister and the Commissioner, and then we will open the floor for questions. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, and welcome everyone, and also thanks to my colleagues at the ECOFIN for a good meeting and some productive discussions today. First of all, we continued a discussion on new EU support to Ukraine and exchanged views on options for support, including the Commission's proposal on the reparations loan based on the immobilized Russian assets. My takeaways is that the Commission's proposal is the best and most realistic option and should be treated as a matter of highest priority, and will continue working closely with all the member states to explore the best way forward from here. It remains clear that continued EU leadership and unity is essential in supporting Ukraine's fight against Russian aggression, and will remain fully engaged to facilitate a decision at the European Council meeting in December. We also had an important discussion on the revision of the Energy Taxation Directive. As Presidency, we worked very hard to put forward a proposal which balanced the need for harmonizing energy taxation and incentivizing the green transition while preserving European competitiveness. The proposal aims to modernize the system so that taxation reflects both energy content and environmental impact, ensuring a fair, consistent and future-proof framework across the European Union. Today I heard that there was a broad recognition of the need for a reform of a directive that hasn't been changed for more than 20 years, and there was a majority agreeing that we've indeed tried to reach a balance towards a different consideration. But nonetheless, there seems to be no path to unanimity at this point in time. Some countries have been reluctant to revise the directive, with particular concerns about impacts on consumers and competitiveness. On the other hand, some countries feel that the proposal has already moved too far away from the objective of supporting our green transition and climate objectives. So today I therefore had to conclude that we unfortunately do not see the necessary political will to continue the work towards a compromise which can be unanimously supported. I am, on the other hand, pleased to confirm that we've reached a political agreement on the elimination of the current €150 customs duty relief threshold. The removal of this duty-free threshold means that custom duties will be payable from the first euro on all goods entering the EU, just like value-added tax. This reform primarily concerns the large volume of low-cost goods imported from third countries, in particular from Asia and China. Ending the exemption will close long-standing loopholes that's been systematically exploited to avoid custom duties, for example, to the undervaluation of goods or the splitting of consignments to stay below the previous threshold. This change will also create a fair and more level playing field between European businesses that pay duty on all imports and non-EU companies that sell low-value goods directly to European consumers without paying customs. The agreement also represents a major step towards modernizing the EU's customs system. It will help to tackle the massive inflow of low-value goods, reduce opportunities for fraud and strengthen the integrity and transparency of trade within the EU's internal market. This agreement demonstrates that the EU can deliver on reforms that make the system simpler, fair and more resilient, so the Danish presidency is happy to have reached a political agreement on this very important issue. Today's meeting also shows that there is a broad political support to explore options to tackle the issue arising from the rapid rise in e-commerce earlier than 2028. European businesses feel the very real impact of the unfair competition from cheaply made Chinese products who do not pay customs. When we see small businesses being out-competed on unfair terms, we have a responsibility to act quickly to ensure a fair system. We'll work with the Member States and the Commission to develop a simple, temporary solution to enable implementation as soon as possible in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Commissioner, please.
Yes, thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me begin with some positive news. Today, the EU is disbursing additional 4.1 billion euros in financial support to Ukraine under the G7-led Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Loans Initiative. This marks the final installment of the EU's 18.1 billion euros contribution to this initiative. The success of ERA Loans Initiative shows that Europe can act swiftly, decisively and effectively when necessary. And this is in this spirit as we must also approach the question related to further funding needs for Ukraine. And actually we began today's meeting with a productive discussion on options for providing additional financial support for Ukraine as requested by European Council. And as Minister already mentioned, the meeting saw broad support from Member States for the Commission to continue its work on the reparation loan. There was wide recognition that this option is the most feasible means of quickly bridging Ukraine's funding gap without placing additional substantial fiscal burden on Member States. The continuation of this work obviously includes engaging with Member States to address remaining concerns. We also discussed possible alternative options. It has to be noted that given the sustainability concerns and challenges Ukraine is facing, the support has to have strong grant-like features. So alternative option would be for the EU to fund the reparation loan to Ukraine through borrowing instead of using the cash balances associated with immobilized Russian assets. However, Member States would have to cover the interest cost of the loan until it's repaid to maintain grant-like support for Ukraine. And there are different modifications how exactly this borrowing can be structured. Yet another option would be to provide a similar level of support to Ukraine, but in the form of grants, which would entail a large direct cost to Member States over the short period of time. So, as regards the options paper, we should be able to present the options paper shortly, and today's discussion will help inform Commission's thinking in this regard. Then it's important in parallel to engage with our allies and like-minded partners to provide Ukraine with liquidity already in the first quarter of next year, as Ukraine's financing needs are not only large but also urgent. We are under time pressure and must move forward in a constructive, pragmatic and cooperative way. Then, as on other topics, as the Minister just mentioned, today we reached a significant political agreement to move forward with the elimination of customs duty relief threshold for goods up to the value of 150 euros entering the EU. And specifically, we agreed to find a workable solution to be implemented as soon as possible already next year. This responds to dramatically increasing volume of goods sold online and directly shipped to the customers in the EU from the third countries, notably China. In 2024 alone, 4.6 billion such items were imported, with 91% coming from China. Charging customs duties on such consignments is an important step towards ensuring a level playing field for European businesses and further strengthening our customs union. Moving to Recovery and Resilience Facility, the Commission provided its regular update. The clock is ticking. Member States should now act swiftly to simplify the plans, remove measures that cannot be fulfilled by the deadlines, and focus on implementation. I therefore welcome today's endorsement of targeted amendments to the recovery and resilience plans of Belgium, Estonia, Luxembourg, Croatia, Slovakia and Romania. Then European Fiscal Board presented today's meeting with its insightful annual report. The report analyzes our collective effort to ensure a smooth transition to the new economic governance framework. And overall, while there are some lessons to be learned, rollout has been effective, and focus should now turn on delivering the agreed fiscal pass. And on fiscal pass, the Commission will present its assessment on 25th of November as part of European semester autumn package. Then I presented today's meeting with the European Commission's overview report on simplification, implementation and enforcement. Since the beginning of the year, the European Commission has presented 6 simplification omnibus proposals, including on agriculture, defense, due diligence, sustainability reporting and others. A conservative estimate puts annual savings stemming from these simplification proposals at more than 8.6 billion euros, and more proposals will follow in coming weeks. So we have made a strong start, but we must work at least as intensively to reach our overall 25% administrative burden reduction target and 35% burden reduction target for SMEs. Finally, a few words on 2025 statistical package, which ministers adopted today. The package sets out how the European statistical system is taking action toward improving the quality and availability of the European economic indicators, collecting data on defense expenditure in a timely manner in context of the national escape clauses, reducing administrative burdens for businesses and public administrations. These efforts underline Europe's commitment to high-quality, independent official statistics, which remain as vital as ever for informed decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will now open the floor for questions. Please start by stating your name and your media. We will start by Euronews, please.
Hello, Jorge Liboreiro with Euronews. I have 2 questions on the reparations loan. First of all, for you, Commissioner, we heard from Belgium. Belgium has criticized the Commission for insisting so much on the reparations loan and presenting it as the only viable option, which you just did. It has also criticized you for lacking a legal basis and for focusing your proposal exclusively on the assets held at Euroclear. How exactly do you reply to this criticism, and what can you offer that it's new and different to Belgium in order to change the dynamics? Because we've been running around the same circle since Copenhagen. And for the minister, we know that Belgium is very much concerned about the potential of litigation from Russia and wants guarantees to cover not only the 140 billion in the loan, but also these potential costs from arbitrations and litigations. Do you think member states should go beyond 140 and cover costs that are essentially hypothetical? Thank you both.
Yes. First of all member states agreed in today's meeting on the clear commitment to provide all necessary support to Ukraine and on urgency of doing so. Today's meeting has been indeed focusing not only on the reparation loan but on also other possible options. As I was outlining before, given the debt sustainability challenges of Ukraine, we do not have an option just to provide another loan as we had been doing before. So this support to Ukraine needs to have strong grant-like features. and reparation loan provides this option of doing so without placing substantial additional burden on fiscal burden on member states. There are other options, we discussed them, but obviously they come with higher fiscal costs for member states. So that's just the fact. And we need to be clear about this. Well, as regards legal aspects of the proposal, of course, the Commission has been assessing it very carefully from the very beginning. That's why our proposal also stops short of confiscating the Russian assets. And actually, it does not go beyond what has been already agreed, that Russian assets should stay immobilized as long as Russia has not paid reparations. It's something which has been agreed at the European Council level and also at G7 level. So what we are, in a sense, elaborating here, what to do with those cash balances which have been accumulated in this context, in this period, until Russia would pay reparations. Obviously, there are risks to be addressed, and specifically in case of Belgium, and that is clearly something which European Commission is working on very seriously, and it's acknowledged also by other member states that obviously there needs to be solidarity on those risks needs to be shared, and this engagement and work also with Belgian authorities in this regard is ongoing. But it has to be said that there are always risks associated with action and with containing the aggressor, but the risks of inaction and not containing the aggressor are even greater.
Yeah, and on the question on Belgium, let me just start by stressing there are still things in the euro loans that need clarification, that needs to be addressed, dialogue that needs to be made. And this is something that we need to do together. So of course, all member states should be on board, and the necessary things should be clarified. That being said, it's important to remember, first of all, that we are already now in a state of hybrid warfare. All member states at different points potentially suffering the consequences of Russia's aggression, whether it being drones or it being companies that have chosen to still be active in Russia, the country of aggression, facing the consequences of that. And also important to say, as also the Commissioner just said, that it's completely fair and in its place to discuss the consequences of doing something, but it's important to remember that the consequences of not doing anything, the consequences of Europe failing Ukraine, will also have an impact on Europe. So we need to take everything into account moving forward in the dialogue with all the member states.
Thank you. We will give the floor to Politiken, please.
Thanks. This is a question for the Commissioner. Is it correct that the Commission has found it legally impossible to include third countries like Norway or the UK, for that matter, in a model of the reparation loans? And does that mean that the Commission do not operate with any models that include a cooperation with Norway on securing funding for Ukraine? Thanks.
Obviously, it's important that we also work with our international partners, including G7 partners, including other partners like Norway, and that they also meaningfully contribute to covering Ukraine's funding needs. And we continue this engagement. In my introductory remarks, I was mentioning that we are specifically raising the point with the partners on possibilities to front-load their financial support in the first quarter of next year to address Ukraine's urgent funding needs, because in our case it takes some time, as we see, to develop options and then actually to implement what eventually will be decided. So from that point of view, for example, UK and Canada have indicated that they are interested and ready to replicate reparation loan style approach linked with Russian immobilized sovereign assets they have in their territories. So, and we're also in touch with, for example, Japanese authorities on the same issue. Then, specifically on Norway, I had a meeting with Finance Minister Stoltenberg yesterday, and we discussed also the Ukraine support, where Norway outlined very sizable support they are providing to Ukraine so far, and this year it amounts to something between 7.2 and 7.3 billion euros, and they intend to provide the support of the same order of magnitude also next year. So Norway is certainly a partner which is cooperating and providing very substantial financial support to Ukraine.
Thank you. We will move to first row, please.
Thank you. Elodie Lamer with Tax Notes International. I have two questions on two different tax subjects for the presidency, please. On the energy taxation, it seems like you're giving up, even though you have another ECOFIN in December. So is it over? And we've heard a lot of countries saying that the world has changed, the economic situation has changed since 2021. So would an updated impact assessment help, for example? And then I understand that at breakfast you discussed the minimum tax. And the fact that the US wants to be exempted from some minimum tax rules. We also heard that several countries expressed concerns. So can you tell us a bit about the nature of these concerns? Thank you.
Well, what I can say on the last part is that we took stock on the ongoing negotiations and the potential side-by-side solution, those are being ongoing negotiations, so I'm not able to comment that any further here. But we took stock on the current situation. Of course, it's very important for all the member states to preserve the European competitiveness and take good care of the European companies. That's of course a very important focus area in the ongoing negotiations. On the Energy Taxation Directive, we've been working very hard from the Danish presidency to outline a compromise. It has been necessary to find solutions on transition periods, on the minimum taxes, on indexation, to accommodate a lot of the worries that the countries have had. And as I said before, today I must say even that compromise, right now we are in a situation where if we move to accommodate some of the countries, we will lose others, and the other way around, if we move to accommodate countries over here, then we potentially lose countries over there. So it is, at the given point in time, very difficult to see a possible way forward on the Energy Taxation Directive. And I'm afraid I'm a very huge fan myself on impact assessments, but if I thought an impact assessment would help in this matter, of course we would explore that option. I'm not sure that would make a difference at the moment. There are a number of outstanding issues, demands, expectations from the member states, and they are moving in different directions.
We'll go for Marco Bresolin.
Thank you very much, Marco Bresolin and La Stampa. I have a question on the small parcels. Minister, you said that there's a broad agreement to explore options to introduce a temporary solution for a new custom levy already next year. I'm wondering whether this is this would be an additional proposal compared to the one that the Commission already put on the table in July, if I'm not wrong, about a handling fee of €2 per parcel, or if it would be an alternative or an additional measure. And also, do you expect that this levy or fee, if you can clarify what you have in mind, will fuel the EU budget as a duty, or would be for the national budget? Thank you.
Well, we have to work on the concrete possible options here. The member states have had a very understandable need to say, can we do something before 2028? Because we all agree this is indeed a big problem, the influx of low-value parcels from primarily China. We need to do something before 2028 because it's a problem for both for European businesses, and we haven't got the specific solution yet, so I won't be able today to give you any specific details on how it will be, but we will of course have a close dialogue with the Commission with the view to taking stock at that already at the next ECOFIN meeting in December. I think here the primary wish for the Member State was to actually be able to handle this, and we haven't been discussing the specific connection towards the other things that you have been asking about here. I don't know if Valdis wants to...
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you. We will give the next question will be for you, Active, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thomas Mellon-Nilsson at Euractiv. I have a question for the Commissioner about the first option that President von der Leyen mentioned in her speech at the European Parliament today about issuing common debt to support Ukraine, and in particular the decision to use the budget to borrow against the budget's headroom. So my understanding is that if you do that, you're going to require unanimity in the Council, whereas if you had an off-budget instrument, you'd only require qualified majority to go ahead. So the question is, why did you opt for this option, given that it would ultimately, it seems that it would be more politically difficult to do this rather than to have an off-budget instrument? Thanks.
Actually, both options are possible. I also outlined that obviously one alternative option is to do a common borrowing, then on lend it to Ukraine with the same reparation loan logic, and then it's important that member states or EU budget is covering the interest costs. For example, when we were detailing the original reparation loan option, we are looking at all those different elements, and different member states actually are expressing different preferences concerning the headroom or this borrowing against member states' guarantees. So as most practical solution going forward, we were foreseeing member state guarantees in a short term during this MFF, whereas foreseeing also possibility to move so to say use of EU budget headroom in the next MFF. But from that point of view, if we are considering this option of common borrowing, there are different modalities possible, and indeed, depending on modalities you choose, it may imply also different decision-making structures, including in the case of MFF, obviously unanimity. But since we are tasked to look at the different options, we are looking at those different options, and it has to be noted that they are not very easy options available. All options come with certain financial or legal or political challenges.
Yeah, and if I may add, then of course when you list different options, say if this is difficult, why do you present that options? Then basically it's also important to say that when we point to the reparations loans as being the best way forward, then it's also because there are no easy solutions here. We don't grow money trees, and we don't have magic hats with rabbits in or any silver bullets. So basically, it's also a reflection of how difficult it is to find a number of viable options.
Time is running, but I think we have time for a few more questions. Next up will be Mr. Romano.
Yes, thank you very much. Beda Romani, Sole 24 Ore. I wanted to get back to the parcel issue 1 second. Can you confirm that there is no link between this temporary solution you are thinking about in order to apply this exemption, this abolition of the exemption before 2028, and the handling fee, which is a different file? Is there a link between the two or not? I'm not exactly sure. I didn't understand from the answer you gave previously. Thank you very much.
That's because it wasn't a very precise answer, because what I answered was that we didn't have that discussion today and we'll have to get back to the details.
Well, in any case, the focus of today's discussion is that normally this withdrawal of this 150 euros exemption would come at 2028, but I would say pretty much all member states agreed that that's too late, and we agreed now to work on how to accelerate, how to make it happen already next year, but different, details on this still need to be worked out.
Thank you. And we'll go for Bloomberg.
Hi, Sam Say, Bloomberg News. I had a question on the Energy Taxation Directive. Just to confirm, the presidency will not be pursuing further work to get a general approach during the remainder of its time?
Yes, as I said before, it's not possible for us at the moment. You never know when things will change, but at the moment we cannot see a way forward where we stretch the compromise further to accommodate some countries without losing other countries.
And we'll go for European Prada.
Thank you very much. Tatiana Vysotska, European Pravda, Ukraine. I would like to come back to Ukrainian question. Did you discuss the ongoing corruption scandal in Ukraine? Was it raised during the ministers' talks? What were the reactions of the ministers? Were some ministers expressing the concerns about maybe trustability of Ukrainian government in dealing with EU funds? And do you predict any difficulties with future financing of Ukraine due to these corruption questions? It's a question for both speakers. Thank you.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. Well, obviously, we take the issue of fight against corruption in Ukraine very seriously, and also our financial support we are providing to Ukraine already for many years is always linked also with conditionality concerning anti-corruption, and pretty much all the, so to say, institutional system in Ukraine has been developed, linked with those financial support from EU, but also from IMF, and this is also a issue which is very high on our agenda in a context of Ukraine's path towards European Union. So we were not discussing the specific issue today. That's for general background. But then obviously, on one hand, you can look at this as a major corruption scandal, but on the other hand, you can also look at this as a proof that this anti-corruption system in Ukraine is actually delivering results, and that it's Ukrainian anti-corruption authorities which are able to go against corruption cases, including to the highest level.
I have nothing to add to that.
We have time for one final question. We will end by the moment.
Thank you, Giovanna Fadonato for Politico. A question for Commissioner Dombrovskis. What is the amount of the headroom in the current EU budget to grant a loan for Ukraine in the case that this option is chosen?
So if we were to choose solutions based on EU budget, that would require actually adjustments to the multi-annual financial framework. So there is, in a sense, nothing reserved immediately. That would require adjustments to MFF if for us to be able to proceed with this option.
Thank you so much. I'm afraid we can't take many more questions. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.